Hello everyone and welcome to this first live stream from the NUMA studio in Paris. I have with me here Cige, who is the entrepreneur in residence at NUMA and especially at Le Camping, which is the accelerator.
Indeed.
And Gary will shortly be introducing our startups here. Before that, I would like to show you what NUMA looks like. Could we please switch to the image? And so NUMA is a space with multiple stories for multiple activities dealing with entrepreneurships and startups. And in the first floor, at the end of the co-working space, we now have the studio. This is what the plans were looking like, and this is what the reality looked like. Lots of cabling, lots of boxes, lights, cameras, lots of putting it all together. This is the working equipment and a first recording and a studio that is now ready for you and all of the residents at NUMA to use. Whoever wants to broadcast their passion, their competency, or simply information about their products can now use this studio to broadcast to the world. So Gary, can you introduce our guests here?
I'd be happy to. The first startup we're going to be interviewing is called REALITICS, which is one of the 12 startups that joined Le Camping a couple of months ago. It is a great adventure. They will explain us a bit what happened during those last 4 months, where do they come from. So basically REALITICS is something very simple. It is an analytics platform dedicated to TV advertisements and TV advertising in general. My first question is quite simple: is what happened during those last 3 months? How did you arrive with what kind of product, and what has been evolving for the last couple of months?
Okay, this is Sébastien speaking. I'm the co-founder of REALITICS. Actually, we came at Le Camping with a piece of paper and an idea coming from our previous experience in Kobojo, a social gaming company where we handled many millions of users, and we had a big issue to understand them and analyze their behavior in the game. So we had an idea how to create a real-time platform that allow us to understand all the people, and this is the way we came into the camping. But Guillaume will explain you what coming after that.
Yeah, so I'm Guillaume. The other co-founder, actually we're 4. Yeah. And when we first arrived at Le Camping, what was very hard was to actually pitch our idea in a very short way, because everybody needs analytics, but everybody has different needs. So Le Camping brings us a lot of things: mentorship, a lot of network. And basically, we got out of the building. We met people. We talked with people. We did the lean start. We did it in the lean startup way, and so we found out that there was something that which is completely unaddressed today, which is analyzing the impact of TV ads on online websites, mobile apps, etc.
But if I recall, at first you came with an idea which was basically a big data analytics tool, which was a bit difficult to pitch.
That's it.
And then, if I remember well, the way you pivoted was basically that you got some different demand from different type of clients, and you analyzed basically what was the most needed solution for that specific client, and then you decided to completely overhaul the business you were working on.
Yeah, we kept the technical assets we had, but as you mentioned, we completely shift from business analytics to the TV ads landscape, which is completely different with different actors, etc. And so we built our very first MVP during the camping. Thanks to you, thanks to all the people we met, we had great ideas and great feedback, and this is the most interesting.
You mean that nobody was interested in big data and heavy math just for the sake of it?
Yes, they were,
a specific use case.
They were, but it's quite hard to first arrive in a big field like big data, and with almost nothing to show. Well, when we arrived in the TV ads landscape with the first piece of technology we had, we knew that we could build a very valuable first product for these people. And that's what we did.
So, show us.
Yeah, sure. So what you see here is the detail of one TV ad spot. What we do with REALITICS is that we track each and every TV ads for an advertiser. And we also have our own analytics tracker. So basically we deploy our analytics tracker on the platform. And we have a very thin granularity that allows us to track the data on a minute scale. And
just to explain, the what you call granularity is basically the fact that you don't only show the visitors for a large period of time, but basically for a shorter period of time.
Yes, that's it. Because when you do drive-to-web TV ads, people are with their phone and tablets, and they browse the website with the advertiser. So what we can do with analyzing all the data is to estimate very precisely how many people came from the TV ad. Even if the TV is completely disconnected media, we can track these people. And here, as you see, we had a lot of people coming from the TV, but we also have the regular traffic. And what we do is to compute the cost per visit in order for web marketers to have the same data that they have when they do the Facebook ad campaign or Google AdWords, etc. And we also track all the impact on the business metrics of their ads. So here we have an e-commerce website, and we track the impact of these ads on the lead, so basically account creation and order, etc. So we can track every metric you need, and we do this for all the TV campaign. So we can basically tell you which channel is the best for your product, which time slot, which TV show, etc. We can put all the data all together.
And now this product, you have validated it with customers.
Yeah, so
they are happy about this.
Yeah, we have 6 customers today, including Danone, and they are running all the TV ads with our platform, and they are very happy. So we count on them to spread the word that we have a great product for TV advertisers.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Guillaume and Sébastien. And now we are heading to another accelerator. The Le Camping Toulouse accelerator. From Le Camping, we have with us Guillaume Martin, who founded PICTARINE, which actually is a startup that went through Le Camping here in Paris. And he has a story to tell us about a radical pivot they did and ended up with an application that allows you to print your photos at the nearest Walgreens in the United States. An application that actually makes money.
Yeah, that's true. So, yeah,
hello, Guillaume.
To go through 3 different accelerator programs in my entrepreneur's life. So first I joined the Camping Paris. It was about 3 years ago.
And so what was the business model back then?
We were a photo management website. We enable you to upload or download your photo from Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and all the usual photo services.
So a social photo aggregation service.
Yeah, we had the aggregation part and the management part, and we pivoted since this time. I mean, 2 or 3 times, I think.
Gary, as a specialist, any opinion on this business model?
No, I think the issue when working with different social networks is always a bit tricky because you get with a business model that doesn't generate any revenue, and I think Guillaume realized quite quickly that there was a good way to use a social network and drive basically business from the social media directly to a different business, and I think it's an amazing story. I think they didn't take that much time to realize that, and I know Guillaume very well, and it's quite amazing. I'm a bit curious about you've been testing and more than testing the product for a while now. What are the current results with the customers and the number of pictures, let's say, uploaded, or not something that specific, but basically what are what have been the results for the last couple of months of operation with that new product?
Are you talking about the last app we created?
Yeah.
Okay. Basically, from the very first day, we had the chance to earn money with this app, about $70, which was more than what we earned during four years.
Yeah.
So we knew we already had something, and at this time we really focused on making the user experience awesome, which we could do because we previously worked on another Android app. And at the same time, we really consider the distribution and the user experience at the same time, and I think this is why the app is so successful today.
And how did this happen? You actually moved to the US for a while. You went through another accelerator. What was the switching point at which you made the right contact and realized there was a business model after all?
The thing is, yeah, we had the chance to join Texas Chicago 2 years ago, and for us it was huge because first it was the first time for me in the US, so it was super. We were super excited about that. And the second thing is they really helped us to pivot from a website to a mobile, and at the same time they enabled us to change the value proposition. And that the best thing that we learned there is how the user experience is super important and how the distribution is really fundamental in the startup life. And because I think this is something that people are missing here. In France, that distribution. Most people, they think that the hardest thing about the startup is to create the product, but that's completely wrong. The hardest thing about the startup is to get people to use your product. And this is, we learned all these things, in the hard way during 1.5 years in the US. And when we found out that there's a real use case with photo printing, we need the experience, we need the distribution, and I think this is why we managed to get the success with this app.
And so actually now you have a revenue stream, and as a result you moved back to Toulouse, and you are now the resident entrepreneur at Camping Toulouse, helping other startups.
Yeah, I'm very lucky about that. I contacted them 6 months ago when I moved back to France. I chose Toulouse because of the food, of the wine, and of course because there's a camping here. And I contacted them. I told them I'd like to head some startups, and so now I'm the entrepreneur in residence here, and having fun with all the startups here. And this is great because I can teach them what I learned in the US, and this is great because
Thank you, Guillaume. So feel free, since you are the resident entrepreneur, feel free to pitch in at any time when we speak about the other startups. Sure. Before we switch to David, who is here, I would like to fly again, and this time to Berlin. So in Berlin, Google for Entrepreneurs has another partnership similar to the one we have here at NUMA. This is the factory. The factory is actually underwent a huge renovation. It used to be a brewery, and the parts you see in brick color are the original parts. All the rest, so the additional 2 stories, are brand new. And the factory is home to parties. Well, of course, this is Berlin. And actually, having SoundCloud as a resident at the factory helped with the partying. But the factory also has a lot more residents. The specificity, I will let Jeremy Bamberg, who is the community manager at the factory, describe what is specific about the selection of startups you have. Hello, Jeremy.
Hi, Martin. Hello, Paris. Hello, Toulouse. How's everyone today? Great. So I'm
Cool.
Jeremy from Berlin-based factory. We're a 16,000 square meter technology campus based in Berlin-Mitte, right next to the former Berlin Wall. We house startups and mature technology companies. So some Martin has already mentioned, like SoundCloud. Some other bigger Berlin startups that are well known are Sechs Wunderkinder. They just received $19 million of investment from Sequoia. And then we also house some sort of, I would say, maybe lesser known startups if you're outside of Berlin and, let's say, based in France or somewhere else in Europe or somewhere outside. I have Valentina from URLI.ST right next to me.
Hello.
We host many other smaller stage teams that have, let's say, 5 to 10 people even. The interesting aspect about us as well is that we're looking for different stage companies. So we plan to host Mozilla, and we also have international companies. A few that have signed on recently, which I can't unfortunately announce, but you'll hear about that soon. But some that are quite well known, like Zendesk, that's based out of Silicon Valley, and MyFitnessPal, also a US based company.
Thank you, Jeremy. And tell us a story about the reconstruction of the building. I know that while digging out the courtyard and the underground parts, you found something amazing. What was that?
Yes, so actually we have quite a lot planned for the area. So we're a tech campus. I mean, we have 5 buildings right here, right now. We're planning to build another one. The main building, everything went fine. Like you saw, Martin probably showed a wonderful photo of this brick facade with 2 modern floors stacked on top of it. Directly next to that right now, we were digging to build a new modern building, and we actually found a bunker. So we found a bunker that was occupied by the Nazis, and the Russians tried to blow it up, and now we're trying to blow it up to build some programs supported by Google for Entrepreneurs, Factory, and other partners that support entrepreneurship here in Berlin. So the historical significance of the area, I mean, we can see it right outside our windows. We're right next to the Berlin Wall Memorial, and you still see the pegs from the former wall right there.
So let's switch to URLI.ST, or shall we call it DevCharm now? Hello, Valentina.
Hello. Okay, so I'm the co-founder of URLI.ST, and URLI.ST is the product that we built in the last year. It was a social bookmarking tool with a very diverse target, a very wide target. And yeah, the story is that we built URLI.ST, but now we pivot into another product.
So
and
URLI.ST was all about curation series of links about any kinds of topics. Yes.
yes, but at some point after the launch, we just work on it, but the performances were not good enough. I mean, we were not satisfied with the numbers. So we just learned from that experience, and we pivoted to another product that is called DevCharm, which is still curation, but is directed to a more precise target that is developers, programmers. So now we're building this product basically, and yeah.
And maybe before we continue, Gary, do you have any general advice on business models based around curation?
Well, curation is quite tricky, so I don't have an advice on any specific stuff. But usually, when something is that complex, especially curation, the best way to act first is not to reinvent the wheel and look at what has been done before. Usually, on everything which is linked to curation, like it could be Pinterest, it could be other type of platform. The issue is that people want to distinguish themselves on different business models that are not as efficient as it should be. And so I usually what I suggest is basically to to speak to people that have been working with at different curation website and just understand, not especially do exactly the same, but just understand the process that they've been acting through to see a bit how they got to the current business model. This will probably not tell you exactly what to do, but at least it will give you an insight of the thing that they've tried before and that didn't work.
All right, and before we continue, I will make a demo of what DevCharm is today.
Yes, because now online you can see a first pilot test, because actually we changed a lot our workflow. So instead of building a problem from scratch, we decided to build a sort of a test that is now online. So now we're working on the real platform that will be launched soon, and that is online is a series of articles. It's still a list of links. It's recommendation of resources about development, and we wanted to test the reach of the audience, and we wanted to test the interest, and so that was our goal.
Let me show that to our audience. I'm here on DevCharm, and actually the only way to log in is through GitHub. This is really for developers. Yeah. And when I logged in, I have this. So I have created a curated list of links, which is about WebGL demos. Here are my links. I can switch to one of them. This is what it looks like. Okay. And now the most amazing part, something that I really found great about this website, is the way you edit those links. So this is the interface. At first I was dismayed, but actually for developers and people used to GitHub, this is great. The only way to edit this list is to actually type code. I love typing code. So here, for instance, if I want to change the title, I go here, WebGL, let's call this Great WebGL Demos, and here I go, same for all the rest of the links and so on. How did you come up with such a radical user interface?
Well, the thing was like we had a very wide audience with URLI.ST, and we thought, okay, we should analyze this audience and make something different and more targeted to a specific one. And since we were a quite technical team, and we knew that also our audience actually of URLI.ST, most of it was quite technical too, we decided just to focus on developers. And this is, I mean, what comes from our experience with URLI.ST, that it's much, much better to work with a very precise audience now, because we can understand better their needs. So this is also why we choose basically something that looks like a text editor when you edit your list, because it's more comfortable for developers. It's just the way they want to edit stuff. And we came up also with the idea of having a library that is wiki-based, so you can edit other people's lists and you can build together with others these lists. And this is also coming from the experience of social coding. So that was the great improvement that we made in working on a product with a web consumer approach and switching to something that is more precise. And also adds with the business model as well, because in this case is much precise also the business model, because we can build a job board that is targeted to developers and is tied up to the content of the platform. So for us it's much more interesting and easy actually to manage this idea.
Yeah, it has definitely nothing to do with the curation website example I gave you. But you're totally right. I'm a bit curious about how you tested the solution. How did you begin with that solution? How did you disseminate the product in the community? Did you use the factory, for example, the developers from the factory? Did you use online communities? How did you manage to basically test the first version of the product with your target?
Well, the thing is, obviously, being at the factory is very important for us because it's such a great community in terms of technology. I mean, we exchange a lot of ideas with other teams here, with line makers and with actually the Tinder, because we are basically in the same building. And this made us like think about our tech stack in a different way. So we exchanged some solutions. And the very beginning, we decided, okay, instead of building a product, we built something like a prototype. So we built just a few pages that were connected, and we tested the reach using Hacker News and Reddit. And because we wanted to see, is people interested in this content? Are they willing to share it? Because that was the problem that we had with the previous product, that they were not willing to share as much. It was more like individual use, which was not making any sense for us on our business model. And so we just gathered the numbers, and we were like, okay, so this is much more interesting in terms of numbers compared to what we had before. And then we decided to build something smaller, so a first test. So that was building a prototype instead of a whole product, and just then decide to go for the platform, which we are now building.
Thank you very much, Valentina. This is a great adventure. And we will now continue the adventure and go back to Toulouse. In Toulouse, we have David with us. David, who is the founder of CITYMEO. And to show you what CITYMEO is about, let's play a short movie. David.
Yes, hello.
Hello. So the first time we met, I said this is a Chromecast for shops, and you told me no, it's not. So what is it?
Like a Chromecast, but a Chromecast killer. Yes, sort of.
No, actually, it's very different. And please tell us what this connected object does.
Yes, in fact, at the beginning of our story, our short story, because it was 1 year ago, we had the chance to participate and to take part of the Startup Weekend in Toulouse and to pitch the idea, the original idea of CITYMEO, which was a sort of social network, but a physically one that was based on screen placed in shops. So this was the first idea. But we had to make a big pivot in Le Camping Toulouse, thanks to Le Camping Toulouse, because we learned to think about the market and the time to market, and this was the problem of our idea. And now,
and so you went to actual shops, and you pitched them this solution. You told them, well, buy a screen and put this little box next to it, and it will do wonders. It will do this and that.
Yes, it was the idea, and you can manage into another business, which is digital signage, simple digital signage for other companies, like big firms or tourist offices, schools. Everyone can enjoy our system in its company if there are screens, in fact.
So it's better to sell to companies who already have those screens, because then they only install your little box, and that little box is actually pretty cheap.
Yes, when we did this pivot, we thought about what do we really have now, and we had a platform, a web platform, where you can send your content, your videos, your photos online, display on screens. We had a fantastic generator of content, of videos. The video is showing it, and we had the real-time management of screen based on the smallest player. And this was the beginning of the story, because this player is fully compatible with all screens. So we don't sell screens. We say, okay, you have screens. Let's plug CITYMEO on it.
So I would like to show a little demo of the content creation part on CITYMEO. Actually, here I'm on the CITYMEO website, and let's say I want to create a video and put that video on all the screens I have around my shop. So let's pick this sample. I'm going to play the video. So it says, discover the CITYMEO experience, 100% product from Toulouse, CITYMEO. And now if I want to modify this video, this is the editor. Actually, what I can change is the background picture and those 3 messages. So it's extremely simple to create those kinds of videos, and you have a ton of presets with various styles and specialized messages for opening times, for announcements, for product promotions, and so on. So, Gary, what do you think about this pivot?
But I didn't know the company, but I think it's quite interesting, because you're basically moving outside, well, let's say the classical web advertisement system, and you go to the online. I'm a bit curious about the distribution part. Basically, the box is a simple box connected to the internet that is streaming something on a TV screen. Is that it? The box is not a very complex item, but how for the moment do you sell the product? How do you distribute it? Do you do it by yourself? Do you go in the shops? Do you do phoning? I'm a bit curious about how you do it now, or how you plan to basically scale up, because that's always the trickiest part.
Yeah, yes, of course. This is the problem with the original ID, is we cannot go in every shop and to speak to every shopkeepers and say, hey, we have a cool product. We can't manage this. So now we are dealing with big companies which have let's say 100 shops when there is one screen per shop, and they will be able to manage the content everywhere in each individual shop from one platform, only one platform. So we can manage to reach the top level of directions, and then we have a big sales of our product.
And how about the physical part? Because you're building a hardware product. How
Yes.
did you start with that?
Yes, in fact, the only thing we do here in Toulouse is to assemble, yes, the player. It's quite tricky, because we can just make 100 player a week right now, because we are not as much as we could be, but it's quite fun right now. But I think later we will delocalize this
you mean
part.
you are assembling them yourself?
Yes.
Really? All right.
Yes, but it's not really hard, but time consuming.
Yes, you're going to have to scale that.
Yeah, indeed. I was a bit curious, how many are you in the team? Who is taking care of the hardware? Who is taking care of the software? What do you take care of? And was a bit because we only see you, and I guess if you are doing everything, even assembling the product, you don't have enough time.
Yeah, we have a cool team here in Toulouse, and everyone has his own parts of the story. So I make the business parts of it, and sort of ergonomy of the website, and my first associate is making the video platform. So he is a motion designer and also an engineer, so we can manage to do this by his own. My other associate is making the website working and the interaction with the user, and the other one and the last one is making the product, the heart of the product. So we have we are sort of complementary on this.
Yeah.
And we
I don't know. I was a bit curious because the issue with hardware companies is always that you just to begin with you have to be like around 3 or 4, which is always a challenge to create that kind of company. So I was a bit curious if you were 3, 4, 5, or but that's a good mix.
And how is business?
Yeah, it's quite good because we launched our product in January. February, our first clients. March, national clients. So it's quite okay right now.
All right. Thank you very much, David. Thank you. And now,
Martin, can I add something?
yes, of course.
Yeah, just want to say that we are opening up application for the Camping Toulouse. We just opened them, and I mean, everybody is welcome if they have the board to come here.
Yeah.
Well, actually, Gary, you should say that we're also opening applications for the camping.
Yeah, but I don't want to compete with Guillaume. Because
All right,
first let's fill in the Toulouse applications and then we're going to take the rest.
So to sum it up, applications are now open for both Le Camping in
Exactly.
Toulouse and in Paris. Please apply. And now we are coming back to the studio here, and I have with me Romain Cochet from SMIIRL.
Yes, hello everyone.
And before you say anything, let's watch this. So, Romain, what is this?
What is this? So it's a flag. So we are SMIIRL and we are making this product. It's a connected object which displays the number of your fan directly on the object. We are targeting the restaurants, shops, bar. We call that brick and mortars. And actually, today when you enter into a shop, you can't see if these people have a community behind them. So the idea now is to display it and to attract more fans on your webpage.
And so when I see this piece of hardware, it's actually very well designed. How did it look like before you started working on it at Le Camping here?
So when we came to the camping, it was only made in laser cut. So it was you can see through it. We only had a prototype which was working, but it was not efficient, and we had to resolve a lot of problems before having this project.
And at what stage of that development did you think it was good enough to go show to customers and install in a shop?
You have to show it as quickly as possible, because when you start to design something, you have to think how the people will use it. So when we came to the camping, we had the first idea of how the object will look like, but at first we didn't have a glass, for example. And when we went to a shop, we put it into a shop, and someone just say, "Oh, that's fine, that's great," and he put his finger into the flaps, and the object was broken. So we decided to add a glass to the object. That's one thing is you have to test it on your user, and it's very essential if you're doing this with hardware. Yeah.
And so the hardware part, I'm a software engineer, I don't get hardware. Explain it to me. What is the process of making a hardware product, designing it, prototyping it, manufacturing it? How does that work?
So it's quite complicated. You have to understand a lot of things to do a product like this. You first have to think about the design and think about the user. So it's the same as a website, and you have to think about the user and sell it to the good customer, and you have to answer a problem. And after, when you do your design, you can start to do your prototype. Like this, you can show to customers, to investors, to a community. And when you have that, you have to after to think the object to be able to be produced, because when you do a prototype, you can take like half a day to do one of it. But when you have to give the product to your user, you have to be able to do a lot in one day. So you have to rethink the object, rethink the prototype, and then go to see manufacturers who will be able to produce it.
And do we have manufacturers in France?
Yes. So when we started, we had to do a first. So when we enter to the camping, the first question that we have is how many objects will we sell? And we didn't know if we have to do 10 objects or 500 objects or 10,000 or much more. And so that's why that was very useful to be camping for that. And today we have a factory in France. We have a supply chain. We have the wood who is coming from Toulouse. We have the printing which is made in. Yeah. So you have a small.
Oh yes, I see. The front.
Yeah,
panel
the front.
is
Yeah,
made
the
of
front
wood.
is in wood.
Very nice.
And we have the plastic which is made in Les Vosges, and it's a French product for now. But it's not enough for us. We can't deliver a lot of products in the current supply chain, so we are looking for a better one.
And my question is basically for a hardware company, what is the biggest challenge? If you have to name just one, what is basically the biggest thing to tackle?
I think the one of the biggest thing is distribution, like said Guillaume, because when you sell an object, you have a lot of obstacles, but they are like in steps. So the first one is to be able to produce your object. That's very complicated to have a price of your object, and because you have to enter into all the details, how do you inject plastic, how you have to do molding, you have to do tolling, so you have a financial problem. So it's different when you're a startup like us, when you have only 10K your product. Yeah.
And my second question is that it's really because with that type of hardware product, usually you go and you do crowdfunding, and you decided not to do it.
Yep.
Could you explain us a bit the process of reasoning behind that choice?
Yes. When we thought about that, we say, we can go on Kickstarter and test if there is a market for that. But after, our customers are shops, are retailers, and they are not really on Kickstarter. So we wanted to do pre-orders on our website to be able to say, look, there is a market, and we didn't touch the geek person who is the one who are very close to the technologic one. We want to touch the real one and test if we can sell a product like this. So that's why we didn't choose to go on Kickstarter. But Kickstarter or the other platforms are very good to test the market if you are into B2C mode. Yeah.
Okay. How about the price point? How do you nail the right price point for something like this?
For the price point, there is two options of viewing it. At first, we didn't have time to think about to do market studies. How many people will be able to pay. So what we think is, for the first price, we decided to evaluate the cost and say, okay, this is our target cost, and we will have to have our margin to be able to live. After, we have to be able to have a margin to distribute the objects, and so that's quite easy. You do your estimation, after you apply your margin, the distributor margin, and that's quite it. Yeah.
Well, yes, but it also has to correspond to a price point that the end customers are ready to pay.
Yeah. After, when you have this price point, you can test it. You can go on Shops Bar, and if people are saying, okay, we are okay to buy it for this price, that's fine. And we test it like that. At first, when we started, so we decided to fix the price at 300 euros without the taxes. And we went to a shop barn and saying, okay, it's 300 euros. That's so much. And you say, oh no, my chair here is it's only 200 euros. So that's fine. I have 20 chairs like this. So 300 euros is fine for me.
Yeah, but that's the tricky part, and we worked a lot on the price point. We worked a lot on testing, because this is a product that you can actually easily test, because you just go in the street and you test it, and they were quite effective on that, and the product changed a lot. The product changed, the price changed, and I was also a bit curious, because you basically sold 500 of them, and quite quickly.
Yep.
And what has been the effect at the customers? Because you sell something like improve your communication with your clients. What was the effect of this for your customers?
So the benefit of the customers, here today we are shipping the first object since 2 months, and we see the feedback of the customer, and they say, oh, that's great, because I have 10 people who are stopping behind my shop, and I have more fans on my web page and on my Facebook account, and then I can reach them more easily than before. So that was the idea of the object, and now we are seeing that it's becoming a reality to them. Yeah.
You actually changed the transformation rates of those shops.
Yeah, and the first thing that the customer do is just open the box and put it on the website. And the first day he say, "Oh, do you like me on Facebook page?" And we can see that they have 20 or 40 more followers in the same day. So that's crazy. That's really working. Yeah.
And what's next? So you sold 500,
yes,
which was not the final objective of the company.
Yes. So there is 2 parts. The first part is make this product more reliable and sell it in mass production. So thanks to the camping, we met Orange. We went to Asia with them to see how can we manufacture this kind of product. And also so SMIIRL stands for social media interacting in real life. And the idea is just to bring back all this social media and all the virtual into the real life. And there is a lot of to do. We are 3 people. There is Gauthier, who is the CEO. He was an advertiser. There is Raphael, who is a designer. And I'm a CTO on the hardware and software part. And this mix is made to create new objects, and we want to go further in the way how we interact with reality. Yeah.
So we should be expecting more connected objects from SMIIRL.
Exactly. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Romain.
Thank you.
Thank you, Romain. Thank you, Gary. Thank you, everyone in Toulouse and Berlin. And this is the end of the stream. Thank you, everyone, for watching this first live stream from the NUMA studio.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.